I fear that there's another reason behind this. Little ones, bring out my armor and have my steel crop ready, for I fear that he may turn violent suddenly. Let me go out to receive him and see what's happening." Having received this instruction, all the little fiends rubbed their fists to prepare themselves. When the iguana dragon walked out of the door, he saw that there was in truth a regiment of marine soldiers encamped on the right. He saw banners with sashes aflutter, halberds arranged in bright mists, treasure swords amassing luster, long lances twirling flower tassels, curved bows like many new moons, arrows as wolves' teeth stuck up, scimitars big and gleaming, short cudgels both rough and hard, sea serpents, oysters, and whales, crabs, turtles, fishes, and shrimps. Big and small they stood in order, their weapons dense and thick like hemp. If the general did not command it, who'd dare step out of line one bit? The iguana fiend went before the gate of the camp and cried out in a loud voice, "Big cousin, your younger brother awaits you respectfully. Please come out." A snail on patrol in the camp went hurriedly to the middle tent to report, "Your Highness, the iguana dragon is outside calling for you." Pressing down the golden helmet on his head and tightening the treasure belt around his waist, the prince picked up a three-cornered club and ran out of the camp in great strides. "Why did you ask me to come out?" he asked. Bowing, the iguana dragon said, "Your younger brother sent an invitation card to uncle this morning. But I suppose he has declined my invitation and sent you instead. If my big cousin is here for the banquet, why have you called up the troops? You did not enter the water residence, but you pitched camp here instead. And you even put on armor and held a weapon. Why? Why did you invite your uncle to come?" asked the prince. The fiend replied, "It was his kindness which bestowed this place on me as a residence, but I have not seen him for a long time, nor have I had an opportunity to express my filial love for him. Yesterday I happened to have caught a monk from the land of the East who, so I have heard, possesses an original body that has practiced self-cultivation for 10 incarnations. If a person eats him, his age will be lengthened. I was hoping to ask venerable uncle to look this monk over before I put him in an iron cage and have him steamed for venerable uncle to celebrate his birthday." "You are so dim-witted," shouted the prince. "Who do you think this monk is?" "He is a monk from the Tang court," said the fiend. "A priest on his way to the western heaven to acquire scriptures." The prince said, "You know only that he is the Tang monk, but you don't know how formidable his disciples are." The fiend said, "He has under him a monk with a long snout, whose name is Ju 8 Rules. I have caught him also, and am about to have him steamed and eaten together with the Tang monk. There is another disciple of his, by the name of Sha Monk, a fellow rather dark in color and gloomy in complexion, who uses a treasure staff. Yesterday this monk made a demand in front of my door for the return of his master, but I called out the river troops to face him. Several blows from my steel crop made him flee for his life. I don't see how he could be called formidable." "You are ignorant," said the prince. "The Tang monk still has another disciple, his eldest, who happens to be the great sage, equal to heaven, a golden immortal of the great monad, who did cause great disturbance in the celestial palace 500 years ago. Now he is the guardian of the Tang monk on his way to acquire scriptures in the western heaven, and his name has been changed to Pilgrim Sun Wukong at the time of his conversion by the great and merciful Bodhisattva Guanyin of the Potalaka Peak. Don't you have any other thing to do but to cause such a great disaster as this? It was that pilgrim's son who ran into your messenger in our ocean. He took your invitation card and went straight into the Water Crystal Palace, charging us father and son with the crimes of conspiracy and kidnapping. You'd better send the Tang monk and 8 rules back to the shore of the river immediately, and return them to the great sage son. You can then rely on my apologies to him to preserve your life. But if you utter only half a no, you might as well forget about your life or any further opportunity to live in this place." When the fiend heard this statement, he grew terribly angry, saying, "I'm an intimate first cousin of yours. How could you side with someone else? If I listen to you, I'll have to send out the Tang monk just like that. You think there's such an easy thing in this whole wide world. You may be afraid of that Sun Wukong, but you think I'm afraid of him, too. If he has any ability, let him come to the front of my water residence and fight with me for 3 rounds. I'll return his master then, but if he can't withstand me, I'll capture him also and have him steamed together with his master. I won't recognize any relative, nor will I invite any more guests. I'll shut my door and ask my little ones to sing and dance. I'll take the honored seat above to enjoy myself. You bet I'll eat his mothers." When the prince heard this, he opened his mouth wide and expostulated. "You brazen demon! You are truly audacious. Let's not ask the great sage Sun to face you. Do you dare hold a contest with me? If I want to be a hero," said the fiend. "You think I'll be afraid of any contest?" He shouted to his little fiends. "Bring me my armor." His cry immediately made those little fiends on his left and right bring up his armor and the steel crop. Changing their colors all at once, the 2 of them unleashed their strength and gave the order for the drums to sound on both sides. This battle was quite different from the previous one in which Sha Monk took part. You saw flags and banners luminous, spears and halberds ablaze. On that side the camps were quickly broken. On this side the doors were widely open. Prince Moang held high his golden club, met by Fiend Iguana wielding his crop. The cannon's one boom made river soldiers fierce. 3 strokes of the gong aroused marine troops. Shrimps fought with shrimps. Crabs strove with crabs. The whale swallowed the red carp. The bream downed the yellow jang. The shark devoured the mullet and the mackerel fled. The rock oyster caught the clam and the mussel panicked. Hard like an iron rod was the stingray's whip. Sharp like a razor was the swordfish's jaw. The sturgeon chased the white eel. The whitebait seized the black pomfret. A river full of water fiends took up the fight. Dragon troops on both sides did join the fray, and brawled for a long time as billows churned. Mighty as Indra was the Prince Moang, who with a cry brought down his golden club, and caught the king of mischief, the iguana fiend. Holding his 3-cornered club, the prince feigned an opening and the monster spirit, not realizing that it was faked, lunged forward to attack. Sidestepping quickly from his opponent's charge, the prince brought the club down hard on the monster spirit's right arm and knocked him to the ground. The prince rushed up to him and gave him another kick that sent him sprawling. The marine soldiers all surged forward to pin the monster spirit to the ground. His arms were hog-tied behind his back and his chest bone was pierced and bound with an iron chain. He was taken up to the shore to appear before Pilgrim Sun, as the prince said, "Great sage, your little dragon has caught the monster iguana. Let the great sage decide what shall be done with him." When Pilgrim saw this, he said to the monster spirit, "You have been disobedient to what you were told. When your venerable uncle gave you permission to live here, he intended for you to nourish your nature to preserve your body. At the time when you acquired a name, he would have transferred you to another post. How dare you use force to occupy the residence of the water god and abuse the kindness of your elders? How dare you exercise your paltry magic to deceive my master and my younger brother? I would like to give you a stroke of my rod, but this rod of old monkey is quite heavy. One slight touch and your life will be finished. Let me ask you instead, where have you placed my master?" Kowtowing without ceasing, the fiend said, "Great sage, this little iguana has no knowledge of the great sage's reputation. Just now, I violated reason and morality to resist my elder cousin, who had me arrested. Now that I have seen you, I am eternally grateful to the great sage for sparing my life. Your master is still tied up in the water residence. I beg the great sage to loosen my iron chain and untie my hands. Let me go into the river and escort him out here. On one side Mong said, "Great sage, this is a rebellious fiend and most devious. If you turn him loose, I fear that he may plot something wicked. I know his residence." Said Sha Monk, "Let me go and find master." He and the river god at once leapt into the waves and went to the water residence down below, where they found the doors wide open but not a single little fiend. When they walked inside to reach the pavilion, they found the Tang monk and 8 rules still bound there and completely naked. Sha Monk hurriedly untied his master as the river god loosened the ropes on 8 rules, after which they placed the freed prisoners on their backs and darted back to the surface of the water. When 8 rules discovered the monster spirit on the shore, all tied up with ropes and chains, he lifted his rake and wanted to strike him, crying, "You perverse beast! You still want to eat me?" Pilgrim tugged at him, saying, "Brother, let's spare him. Have regard for the feelings of Ao Shun and his son." Bowing, Mong said, "Great sage, your little dragon dares not linger any longer. Since we have succeeded in rescuing your master, I must bring this fellow back to see my father. Though the great sage has spared his life, my father will most certainly not permit him to go unpunished. He will dispose of him in some way, I'm sure, and then we shall report to the great sage along with our apologies once more." "In that case," said Pilgrim, "you may take him and leave. Please bow to your honored father for me, and I shall thank him in person another time." The prince at once led the marine soldiers and the monster spirit into the water, where they found their way directly back to the great western ocean, and we shall speak no more of them. We tell you now about the river god of the Black River, who gave thanks to Pilgrim, saying, "I am deeply indebted to the great sage for the recovery of my water residence." The Tang monk said, "Disciples, we are still stranded on the eastern shore. How shall we cross this river?" The river god said, "Venerable Father, please do not worry and mount your horse. This humble deity will open up a path for Venerable Father to cross the river." The master indeed climbed onto the white horse, while 8 rules held the reins, Sha Monk pulled the luggage, and Pilgrim took up the rear. The river god then exercised his magic of blocking the water. As the upper reaches of the river were dammed up, the lower part of the river soon turned dry, and a wide road was thus created. Master and disciples walked safely to the western shore and, after thanking the river god, they proceeded to high ground to set out again on their way. So it was that, with help, the Chan monk could now face the west. With no waves on earth, they could cross Black River. We do not know how finally they managed to see Buddha and acquire scriptures. Let's listen to the explanation in the next chapter.